Alright, welcome everybody to another mixing video. Today we're going to look at gain staging. So the reason that gain staging is important is for number one, you won't get clipping on your master bus. If you look over here, you can see that when all the tracks were playing, this song was clipping the master bus, which is a no-no basically. And number two, it will feed your track into your plugins better. So a lot of plugins emulate vintage gear, and vintage gear has a sweet spot basically, which is around 0 dB VU, because in a DAW, our metering is different. We're not metering in VU. Our 0 dB is called 0 dB 0 dBFS, which stands for full scale. dB is decibels. So the equivalent to the sweet spot in the analog domain would be minus 18 dBFS. So the analog world is measured in VU, digital is dBFS, and minus 18 dBFS is equivalent to 0 dB VU. So you want your track to be averaging around minus 18. So what I did was I let the entire song play through, and I saw where the highest peak was, which was minus 4.8. So what I would do next is I would reduce the gain of this. So in your DAW it might be different. You might have to add like a trim plugin or something that turns it down before you hit your other plugins. So your first plugin would be something with gain control. So for example, I'll show you. I have a plugin like SSL channel from Waves. Here we go. This is your gain, right? So without worrying about anything else, we're just looking about the gain, right? So if I wanted it to be around minus 18, I would just take it down. Now you might think, okay, it's minus 4, so if I do around minus 14, that'll take me to minus 18. But you have to bear in mind that this is peak. This is just the peak. This isn't the average volume. So for me, I would just maybe do like minus 10. So here on the plugin, you would type in minus 10 or dial it, however you want to do it. But I'm actually not going to do it like that because Cubase has a pre-gain control right here in the channel strip, which is nice because you don't have to take up one of your insert points. So same thing, I'll just minus 10, boom, ready to go, and my plugins will benefit greatly from that. So I would just do that. So this is minus 7, so maybe like minus 5, and I would just do that for every single track, and that's basically it. There's nothing really more to it. You might have to turn your speakers up when you're listening to the song while you're mixing it, but who cares? If it's gonna help your mix out, how much effort does it really take to just turn your speakers up, you know, or turn up your headphone volume if you're mixing on headphones? It's really not that big of a deal, but if you don't do it, your mix will suffer a lot. So really, that's about it. The only other piece of advice that I would recommend for anything when you're mixing is try and think about this like if you were working on an actual analog mixer, okay? I'm not talking about like an SSL 4000 or anything like that, because not everybody has worked on that. I mean, I know I haven't, but I have in bands used, like a Mackie mixer or, things like that. It's just your average mixer that you would see at like a bar gig or something like that. So if you thought about it, you would have like up at the top you would have your mic pre, then you would have your gain, right? So that's where this comes in. You might have a low pass filter or high pass filter, usually just a high pass filter on that kind of mixer. And then you would have your inserts, so that's where you would put your compression or external EQ. And then you would have EQ. And then you'll usually have pan and your fader. So that's one of the things I really like about Cubase, is everything is pretty much laid out as it would be top to bottom, only that it's left to right. The only thing that's different is that the pre-section would, if it was left to right, it would be over here on the left of the inserts. But it says pre, so pre explains to you that it's coming before this, okay? So signal flow is very important. So always keep signal flow in mind. And I think that this is something that is lost nowadays because the DAW routes everything for you. In the real world, you have to think about where things are going and what's coming first and what's coming next. So even with your inserts, I know in Cubase, your top insert is the first in the chain, and it only makes sense that as you go down, this plugin feeds into this one, then this one to this one, and so on and so forth. One thing that's a little weird here is that in Cubase, your last two plugins are post fader. So if you were thinking about this, these two actually are over here to the right after the fader, which I almost never use post fader inserts. So anyway, went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but maybe that information can be useful to you as well. Like I said, you would just go through and do this on every track, and there's like 31 tracks, so I'm not gonna do all of those in this video. But in the next video that I do, you will see the difference. It'll help every track, and it'll help your plugins actually sound better. So I know this is a short one, but it's a good one. Use gain staging. Oh, one other thing. Gain staging isn't just from... It's not just your pre-gain staging. You also have to think about it from plugin to plugin. So, for example, let's bring the SSL channel back up again. This time the G. Anyway, let's say I was boosting like 20 dB of, what frequency is this? 3.5. I would want to turn my output gain down, okay, to level match. Because otherwise, if I had another plugin, let's just say like an LA2A or something, or this is an LA2, it would be feeding into this more and hitting it harder, and you wouldn't be in your sweet spot anymore because now you're feeding more gain into this. So it's important to think about your gain staging into your first plugin and every plugin after that. So keep these things in mind, and I'll guarantee that you will experience a huge difference in the clarity of your mix, the quality of it, and you'll get less distortion. If you do get distortion, it'll be a pleasant one from the electronics or digitally recreated electronics of your plugins. So that's all I have for today. I know this was sort of a I know that this was sort of a very simplistic video, but I'm sure that this can help many people out. So there's many videos of this on YouTube. If mine wasn't helpful for you, you can go ahead and check out some other people's. I know Graham Cochrane from the Recording Revolution has many videos on this, and he does a great job of explaining everything that he ever explaining every concept that he has ever brought to our attention. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. If you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe. Maybe leave me a comment. I would appreciate it. And go ahead and keep your eye out for some more videos. Thank you.